Welcome back. Talks of homemade alcohol have resurfaced on social media following the president's decision to ban liquor sales. The first hard lockdown in April saw many people showcasing their homemade beer, with pineapple flavour being the most popular. However, several people died as a result of consuming some of those concoctions. To discuss the dangers of homemade alcohol and related issues, we're joined now by Craft Beer Association of South Africa's board member and chairman of the Warthogs Homebrew Club, Rob Cass. Rob, thanks for your time. So homebrewing should be a joy and a pleasure, but what could possibly go wrong?
Well, there's a few things. Brewing is making a food product, and if you are going to handle it poorly and you're going to add toxic things to it, you could introduce problems. Typically speaking, the process of making alcohol is fermentation, and fermenting food is typically safe. When you ferment, you generally lower the pH of something and you create a little bit of alcohol, and those actually prevent any pathogens growing in the product. So beer, as it's produced properly, is actually very safe. If there is a problem with the beer, it's going to taste bad and you're probably not going to want to drink it. Generally speaking, what happens with these homemade concoctions where people get sick is that they add other things to try and give it a bit of a kick, and most often that's meths or methanol, methylated spirits. Methanol is very dangerous. When you are undergoing standard fermentation, you're producing trace amounts of methanol, but not anything near enough to cause any problems unless you're drinking upwards of 100 liters of the stuff. But if you add methanol to give yourself give the alcohol a little bit more of a kick, that's very dangerous. Methanol, as we know, is toxic, causes blindness, and can kill you.
A number of people have died or have to have been hospitalized after drinking homebrewed alcohol. But the purpose of the alcohol ban is to take the pressure off health workers by keeping people out of hospital. So how do homebrewers new to the game make sure that they get it right?
That's a good question. Fortunately, there's a lot of resources available. A simple Google search will show you there's a ton of information all over the web on safely brewing beer at home, or some kind of fruit wine. You mentioned the pineapple beverage that people were making. That's more of a fruit wine. It can be done very simply and safely at home, but it does require a little bit of information gathering and understanding. One thing I would like to point out is that going through fermentations to produce a lower alcohol beverage, where you're aiming typically for 4 to 5% alcohol, is relatively safe and easy to do at home, with very few complications. But as soon as you start getting into distillation, you introduce a whole bunch of other problems, and it becomes a lot more technical. That's where you're also going to be producing a lot more methanol. So if you are interested in distilling, you really need to take care to do a huge amount of research and really make sure you understand what you're doing. With normal brewing and fermenting, I would still encourage anyone to really take some time and learn. If you go to the Warthogs Facebook page or the Warthogs website, there's some great resources available to you and a good community of people that you can ask questions of. But there is a ton of information out there, and there's a lot of homebrew stores that can also sell you the right products to use to make the beverage safely.
Rob, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask, we know it's illegal to buy or sell alcohol, but is it legal to buy or sell homebrewing kits?
It's legal to sell homebrewing kits because they contain no alcohol. It's a food product. But if you are producing your own alcohol at home, you need to understand that you still need to follow the regulations, which include transporting alcohol, drinking alcohol in public, as well as selling that alcohol. Selling homebrewed alcohol is illegal at any time. So, you need to still follow government regulations with that.
Absolutely. During the alcohol ban, we often talk about the impact on big liquor traders and manufacturers, but what about the little guys, the microbreweries, the craft beer manufacturers, and those starting off selling homebrewed beer? They must be devastated by this second lockdown.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that everyone in the alcohol business has been devastated by these lockdowns. The small craft brewers, unfortunately, don't have any financial resources to often see themselves through any bad times. They run on razor-thin margins. They produce a very low-margin, high-capital-intensive product. And, the last 2 lockdowns were devastating. I think we lost up to 30% of the brewers in South Africa, the craft brewers. So yeah, a third lockdown is going to be absolutely devastating for the industry.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. That was Rob Cass, Kabasa board member and chairman of the Warthogs Home Brew Club.